also quite unprofessionally. So,
all right.
Yes.
Then we'll start.
Okay, we're live.
Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to tell something about plugins, how to write them, mostly in the hopes that more people will either use plugins because they now understand how they work, and also in the hope that more people will write plugins so we have a more diverse ecosystem and that it's more fancy things to use for advanced players. There are maybe going to be more things that people write to make it easier for beginning players. If just one person starts writing plugins because of my presentation, I'm going to call it a success.
Great. Also rewrite mine.
Very good. So to get there, I'm first going to tell you what a browser actually is doing, and then I'm going to tell you how we're going to intervene with that so the plugin can do its work. Then we're just going to do it. And while doing that, we're going to have to figure out a lot of things about what the data structures inside the planet's new code look like and things like that, and how you figure that out and how hard or how easy that is.
Question. Do you think it's feasible for the pace of your presentation if I load up my Visual Studio Code or something and kind of start following, or is it more
no, let's not
okay,
do that. But if there is interest, then for say workshop tomorrow, we can look at things as anybody desires.
Cool.
So I would ask to at least show my face so that also the people online know who I am. McNimble, Kiro in real life. I've been playing planets since the 90s somewhere. Floppy disk exchange and things like that. My professional life, I've been a research scientist, and I switched to the software engineering department where I think I learned how to really program and really make stuff that makes people happy instead of things that make me as a developer, oh yeah, this is fun. And because of that, at some point, I quit my job, took a long holiday, and then became a coach to help other people with that same software process, software techniques, and things around it. So what does a browser do? Everybody who launches it knows that you get to see stuff on the screen and that there's HTML underneath that it gets from a server. That's fine. HTML is the basic thing where it all started. At some point, styling was split off, so you can say, oh, well, I have a header, and you should use this font, and it's going to be that big, and that's independent from the fact that it's a header with a specific piece of text in it. Sounds like a very nice separation of concerns, except that there is so much that we can style these days that it's not really. Another thing is that HTML was really meant to be a flowing piece of text with a fixed width, and the height was undeterminate. The browser would determine how high things were, and you would scroll it vertically. If you look at your planet's star map, it's a clear fixed size of your browser. HTML was never intended to do something like that. So CSS is accommodating for it in some way. So they made another way to accommodate for that in some way, and then another one, and it. Then somebody decided that it wasn't fun to have static things, you wanted dynamic things, and they built JavaScript. And they were so happy with that they released that a bit too quick. So JavaScript comes with its own quirks. I don't like the language. I much prefer other programming languages. These days, there are programming languages that JavaScript are much nicer to work in and then run inside your browser anyway. And then at some point, there came web version 2.0, which basically is JavaScript that instead of I have a page that comes with HTML styling and JavaScript from the server, I now have a dynamic page that does some things, and the JavaScript can also get extra data from the server based on what happens there. That's really all Web 2.0 is. You get additional data from the server dynamically. So what are we going to do? The names for the things in the browser are Grease Monkey and Temper Monkey, and they interfere with the pattern that we have here with the loading and then maybe your dynamic JavaScript and Web 2.0 stuff. So that's a plugin that you make that you hand to Grease Monkey or Temper Monkey is in fact only JavaScript. That JavaScript is added, which means it's run, executed, just after all the things have been loaded and just before it's shown to you. So if I would make a very, very simple Grease Monkey plugin for Planets that said, wipe all page content and replace it with Hello World, it would load Planets, it would load my stuff from the plugin, remove all the Planets things that would be shown to you and replace it with Hello World. So you want to be careful when you download Grease Monkey, Temper Monkey stuff from people that help you with your bank account and such. It is invasive. So when I hear people say, I don't trust plugins, there's some understanding there. Of course, we're talking about Planets. What would be my point in showing you code and say, this is a plugin, it does this and this and that. You can look at it, no, it does this and this and that, and use it to your benefit. But if some random email tells you, here's a nice plugin, be careful. So the point there is that it changes the behavior of your web page after it got everything and before it shows it to you. All right, let's go and do that. What are we going to do? We're going to pick a problem that we're going to write a plugin for. We're going to figure out how we're going to attack it. We're going to attack it. And all the finicky details that I mentioned earlier with the Planet's data structures and all, we'll get to that as well. So let's pick a problem. Over the past few months, I heard a few problems that people have. I heard simple problems. I heard complex problems. I selected 3 out of those that I'm going to let you choose from. And I'm going to let you then help me develop the interesting bits that we need for that plugin. So the 3 problems that I deem interesting enough to start tackling in a presentation like this, so that we actually can make a start, but it's not going to be something that we're finished and, oh yeah, well, that was it, fun. No, we will be able to continue building on that plugin if we want to. So we can, I mean, at least we're going to publish it after today. If someone wants to pick it up, feel free. If not, then, well, I'm going to.
I'd love to have a dictionary for my ship names.
There you go. So I already hear additional ideas. So an idea that I had at some point was a check for cloning. Right now, if I put a friendly code of CLN on one of my ships, I have no idea what my starbase is going to do. And I've messed it up. So I'd like to see my starbase say, yep, I'm going to clone that ship for you. Even if I put a build order in, or if I forget to set things like whatever. I mean,
you also mean like if minerals are sufficient?
Yep, all that stuff. Tech levels bytes in particular, yes. Those kind of checks. So there's many checks within that clone thing, but so we may be able during this presentation of about an hour to tackle 2 or 3 small bits within the whole thing that you could, all the checks that you could possibly make. But that's one option. The other one that came up very recently in the forum was naming ships. People came up with all kinds of regions and all kinds of names they wanted to give. An additional functionality sounds to me like a very fun one to try to tackle today. And another one that came up on the forums a while ago, and now I'm playing privateers myself, the Lady Royale. If you have 160 clans in it, the most optimum way of handling that is being done the clans on the starbase. So the clans are used not only for the Lady Royale, but also for growing, keeping the amount of factories high, and then you forget to put the 160 clans back into the Lady Royale, and they're wasted. And the ship is wasted for a turn, and we shouldn't idle, as we have been pointed to in the previous presentation half a dozen times. If you have 2 Lady Royales, okay. If you have a dozen, yeah, annoying. Vice versa, if you don't put the starbase on unload freighters, of course, I found at some point that, oh, there's 320 megacredits in my Lady Royale. Did I forget to do something last turn that I should have done with this 160? Yep, shit. So there's other ways to handle the Lady Royale, but none of them is optimal. So sorry, offline people, you can't vote because I don't think we have an easy communication mechanism. But people here in the room, we can vote. I'm going to give you all 2 votes because you have 2 hands. You can stick up your left hand once and your right hand once. You may point them up at the same time. Who wants to see clone checks improved? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Who wants to see rename ships done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And who wants the literal problem solved? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would appear we're going to check how we are cloning. All right, let's do it.
And just one question, because you talked about the thing that only changed the browser before you retrieved it, but like this renaming of ship, that sounds like a sort of automated action.
Correct.
That then needs to be executed. So it's not only the browser, but it's
so keep that question into mind. At some point, we're going to load the plugin into the browser, and just before that, we're gonna put in a couple of, say, the API that GNU provides to make those plugins. That would be the point to ask that question again. So if we actually run the plugin in the browser, you're too late. You'll probably, I hope you, I'll try to remember as well to come back to that. All right. Next thing, and again, I'm going to need your help here. I'm going to make a plan of attack for the cloning. There's many different things that can go wrong with cloning. You can try to clone as privateer, but that's not a very big chance of making that mistake. I'm hurt by tech levels mostly. I can imagine you're hurt by the mega credits because you forget the ×2. So what goes wrong is a consideration on what to build first for these checks. I don't think there's a particular workflow here that we want to address. So for some of these, for the Lady Royale, there is clearly a workflow that you have that you could try to improve.
I waste a lot of my time in just calculating how many minerals and mega credits.
There you go, and that should be fairly, that should be somewhat easy. Although the entire computation is a bit of code. And another question we can ask for a plan of attack is, what is the very simplest thing that we can do? Because the chance of building something simple is much higher, and the fact that you finish something simple gets you in a good mood, gives you a sense of progress, and that makes it, you're in a happier place to actually build other features. Someone spoke about mental settings in an earlier presentation today. It's related to that. Also, if you have a simple thing and it works and you have to do in an hour rather than a complex things in 2 days, after 1 hour you can actually use it, and otherwise you have to wait 2 days, which kind of relates to getting minerals out of the ground as early as possible. Hey, I see that my moth class carrier has arrived.
Looks less impressive.
It's right there. All right. So what do we do? As a professional developer, as basically any developer, I'm going to write code, but I'm just human. And a computer is very precise. I'm going to tell the computer something, and it's going to do exactly what I tell it. And since I'm stupid, and I can't keep all the things in my head, I'm first going to tell the computer what I actually want to achieve. That sounds like extra work, but the computer will then keep me honest. And 2 days later, when I have forgotten what I've done, either because I had too much beer, too less sleep, or been in an argument, who knows what I forgot. Because there's tests automatically running for it. I'm going to show that to you as well. What I'm, explicitly not going to do here, we're going to make our clone. I'm going to call it clone warden because that's the name I thought of before. I'm going to go there. I know many of you are not that familiar with the command line. Just bear with me. If I want to test, and I want to have that in JavaScript, but I could sort of try to run it in the browser, but I'll be able here to say, run all my tests, something like that, and it should do that. The use is called Jasmine, and it's running on Node.js. Node.js is another implementation of JavaScript. It just runs standalone. It's often used server-side for those who program. You have there's an approach where you have Node.js on the server side doing your JavaScript, and then there's JavaScript that you have in your browser. And you can even share the code between the two platforms, so you only have to write it once instead of twice, and there's all kinds of nice advantages for you. If you're not a programmer and have no idea what I just said, fine, ignore it. If you are a programmer, there you have it. So Node.js, standalone JavaScript engine. Figure out via Google how to get it. It comes with a package manager called npm. So you would typically say, I'm going to install Node.js, which I already have, so I'm not going to do it. It comes with npm, then you say npm install Jasmine, which I'm also not going to do because I already have it. And then you can run Jasmine like I just did, and it says I can't find any specs for you. So yeah, they're all fine.
Just from my understanding, what are you now?
I'm going to write a test.
Yeah, okay, but which is what is command? Where are you now on the machine? What kind of tool are you working in now?
I'm here in a completely empty directory. There's nothing. I have nothing.
I
have a bunch of.
Yeah, it's just
Yes,
command
command
line
line.
console.
No credit to use it.
Yeah. It's the DOS.
Just Linux.
Yeah. You can make a graphical interface around all this kind of stuff. But it would be basically doing the exact same thing. This is the core of what you do when you develop. I'm going to let Jasmine help me a bit because I don't know where to put my my tests and everything. I tell it to init stuff, and then I have a spec directory. And in there is a support directory, and in that support directory, there is another file that tells some things tells Jasmine a couple of things. And it says that, well, I'm going to put my tests, my specifications, specs. People use all these words intermixed between different programming languages, sorry. And the files are going to be files that end with spec.js. All right, good. Let's make such a file. I have an editor. I'm going to go to plants in the conference, in our brand new thing here in the spec directory where I can do something. And it's going to be clone warden spec.js. And in here, the top is sort of falling off. I'm going to do things in the way Jasmine expects me to do them. I'm going to just insert a new line so you can read it.
It's okay.
It's okay. I just inserted an empty line. We're going to write a whole bunch of things for our clone warden, and I'm probably going to be more specific about that. And there's JavaScript, and JavaScript can execute functions, so I need a function here. We're going to be a bit more precise than that. Oops. Describe is just a way of grouping things, in case you're curious. And if I want an actionable test, it's going to be that. So, I wrote some stuff there. And I'm going to tell it to fail because I want to demonstrate to you that if I run Jasmine now, like that, I actually have a failed test. Right. So what are we going to put in the test? Because this is not really point 2. I'm going to write the test with something more sane than just failure, and then we're going to make it pass, and then we're going to repeat it a couple of times, and then we're going to load it in the browser. So what should it do? A whole bunch of things that I could think of. Which is the one that actually catches you off guard? Enough minerals, enough mega credits, tech levels.
Tech levels.
Tech levels. All right, let's go and work on the tag levels. That means that immediately here, I'm going to replace this. We're going to work on tag levels. And the first actual test is going to be, well, let's pick a simple ship.
Nebula.
Nebula, is that a simple ship?
Meteor.
Meteor is simpler.
Yeah.
I was thinking freighters are very simple, but you don't want to clone them usually, but that doesn't matter. That's another check. I'll take a Falcon. So, all right. Tech levels. So what do we want to know? We want to know the tech levels of the Falcon. Well, we already have their tech levels, so here's we're going to do that for the Falcon. Okay, what tech levels does a Falcon have?
How to
Expect tech levels for a Falcon to equal. Close space there. All right, someone said something. Oh.
You're missing an E in expect.
Yep. Oh well, I'll leave it there and show you what happens.
Oh.
So the bug,
it's a feature.
yeah,
Level 2.
2. Great. What engine level does it have?
Depends on the sound.
Very well. So we have a Falcon with. You know what? I said simplest thing. The only thing I care about at this moment is actually the hull. Simple enough. Off we go. Because we know the tech levels of the engines and the beams right there, don't we?
Well, the first thing
Usually.
you have to do is to identify the clone original and then extract
Yeah.
this information from them.
Good. So we got a Falcon here. I'm going to make a Falcon here. My Falcon is going to be a ship, and it's going to. Oh, right. How does a ship look like? Okay, now we have to go to a game and figure out what a ship looks like. Because if I'm not in my test not using a ship that looks like something real, I can fabricate all code that I want, but it's not going to run in my browser. So I need some ship real enough. It doesn't have to be a Falcon, but something real enough that obtained from here to use in my test.
CLM that's at Starbase, right?
Yeah, but right now we're only interested in the tech levels, so that. So the browser comes with a whole ton of tools to help you. It's here under developer. It even has a nice Control-Shift-I, which I never use. All the browsers also have F12 with which to do that. The screen is so small that it's entirely replacing my map. Usually it's a small toolbar underneath my huge map, but that's okay for now. It opens up. You can select things that are rendered on your page. The one we're interested in now is the console. It opened that by default for me. It shows debugging output, print statements. You can log things on the console in your code, which is sometimes useful. You can see some of the logging that has already been done for us. And there is another command line here where we can type things. And we're going to use that to look at a bunch of things. So you need to know a little bit to get a Bootstrap. One data structure here is called VGAP. It contains a whole bunch of things, stuff. I can click on that and it will open another pane, which is usually on the side somewhere, so it doesn't obscure my thing. And then you get an entire list of the things that you're looking at. If you're beginning with writing plugins, you're going to find yourself digging through this quite a bit to find appropriate fields and things. So I'm going to step a little bit ahead here. And use something else. So there is, inside here, there is the data of your current turn, for instance. If you look about your player information, that's actually somewhere else. There's VGAP, there's also new, and there is, I think, also data, which, no, it isn't. There's new, and there's VGAP. There's ships in there, which is nice. But once you dig a bit further, you'll find that there is a get ship method, which you should use to actually find yourself a ship. So this is ship again as an object. I can click on that object. It shows up here. What I wanted to know is whether it's a Falcon. So you can go and search through this list of things. What would be telling me that it's actually a Falcon? And that's the thing that's telling me that it's a Falcon. The hull ID. Hull ID 16 is a Falcon. Let's demonstrate that. There are quite a few of these things that have been provided by Joshua and Big Beaver to look things up. If I get hull number 16, it's the medium deep space freighter. Because, of course, like I said, I don't have a Falcon here in this game. Good. How do I find a Falcon? Or,
We can as good use the medium.
thank you. There you go. We'll use the medium deep space freighter. It's
Just
16.
one question. You're
Yeah.
now in a game that you are opening from planets?
Yeah.
And can you now also see enemy ships that you don't see in game?
No,
Using this? I mean,
no.
Unfortunately.
that would be very
No.
Full ID for
Uh,
But did you know that
Full ID for
dark
Falcon
mode
is 87.
setting there?
Does this help?
Dark mode. Dark mode
Does
equals
this help?
So if you set that to true, you must see everything, right?
It's, of course, I can see everything.
And you still don't win.
At least it's got the decency to rush now.
All right. So we're going to use a medium deep space freighter. It works for me. So we're going to say that it's an MDSF. MDSF. My hull is 16. And oops, no. Sorry, for the ship, I need the hull ID is 16. I don't think I really particularly care about anything else. And the tag level of this one is 3. Tag level 3. Good. So what I want to come out of that is 3. Does that make sense? I'm going to ask for the tag levels on the medium deep space freighter, and that's going to tell me I need to build tag level 3. I'm not looking at engines yet because I'm doing the simplest thing that I can do. I'm not looking at beams. I'm not looking at torps yet. I'm looking at one thing of one ship.
3 or higher.
The only thing is you're asking for the tech levels for Falcon and have the MDSF, so you probably will not find it at all.
Yes, very true. Correct.
I think
And that is still
check against the starbase.
Yeah,
Just the most.
Yeah, you need to check at the starbase.
Yeah. True. As a programmer, I'm going to tell you that that is step that we can take after this. First, I want to know what the tech levels of the ship are, and then I'm going to compare it with those of the starbase. That is one of those habits for programmers. You want to chop a problem into steps that are so small that they're smaller than you could possibly have thought about.
But do you mean that if you would implement this for a full game, that you would specify all ships with all their hull IDs, so you would put the whole race list in here?
No. I'm going to write enough tests so that I'm confident that my code will work. That is a very opinionated statement. So the way to figure out where your opinion should be is to collaborate with as many other programmers as you can to figure out whether they agree with you or not and why, and then adjust your opinion and trust that they will adjust theirs. So you can find a middle ground that is then common enough. I can understand if this looks like a really tiny, do I have enough tech levels on this starbase that I could possibly have? Because we're only looking at the whole tech level of a medium deep space freighter, which I'm not going to clone anyway. We'll get somewhere today. If I run this again, it's going to tell us that expect is not defined. No. That's true because we type out on that. And then it's going to say tag levels 4 is not defined. Yeah, that's true. I haven't written a method that is tag levels 4. Let's do that. Let's write a method tag levels 4. It is a function. I will pass it a ship, and it needs to return something.
You have to type all this function.
Yeah, I keep doing that. But thanks. Another thing to do when you solve this kind of things and you go through it, especially for practice reasons, is I have an error here. It says function is not defined. The only thing I do is solve that particular problem, nothing else. I just defined the function. So there it is. Now it says, now I get another error, of course, because it doesn't do anything. It says undefined to equal object hull 3. Oh, okay, cool. Return hull 3. Yeah, passed. Good. Now we get to a question that was just asked. What if I have another ship? Am I going to write it for 100 and something of them? No, let's not do that. But a little bit more than just an MDSF seems to be in order. So I'm going to copy this test. And I'm going to use something else than a medium deep space trader.
Alchemist, hull ID 87.
Thank you. Um, 87.
Yep.
Can we just ignore
And
this
this
entire
is-
thing and
sorry.
simply first get a list of ships which have, and then just compare them individually, their respective tech levels to the respective planets? Or,
I'm also probably another test.
Yeah,
This is the code. The top 3 lines are the start of.
Taking the test-driven development. Resolving the problem without defining the end result.
I'll be happy to argue the approach.
But
in
I
the
don't
presentation.
understand when you will use this test in the end. After you've written the script, you do one other.
You continuously testing
This looks like a lot of work, but actually we haven't done anything yet. And when you get used to this, it goes really fast. I run the test again, of course, the Falcon, I get the wrong stuff. So we need to do something more clever here. Let's go and do something more clever. The more clever thing is to actually get the proper tag level from the ID here. We've already seen that we need to get the hull from the ship. Hull ID. And another thing is that you want to do as few things as possible in one line of code. So I'm first extracting the hull, and now I'm going to say that's the tag level of that. Oops. The tag level that we get out of that, actually like that, is hull dot, what was it, tag level? And we're inserting it here. Well, that looks like it should work, right? That's the things we've seen in the browser. Slight problem. My test doesn't know what PGAP is. I'm going to have to tell it what it is. And what I don't want to do is actually use the entire new code in there, because it comes with so much stuff, but it also does stuff. So, yeah, kind of meh, kind of not fun. So I need to tell it here something to have. I need to have this. And get hull is not a function. And unfortunately, I'm now going to have to say PGAP get hull is a function that gives me In this particular case, something with a tech level of 3. And I still can't write function. And in this particular case, I need to tell it to give me something with a tech level of 2. And sure enough, the test passed. So this is what is called a mock, or a fake, or whatever people use. And I think fake is the most appropriate word here. I'm faking what new code is doing. I don't want the entire burden of the new code. I just want something that emulates it as closely as I can, so that I can be sure that my code is doing what it's supposed to be doing, given that code. I'll admit, if this looks odd, because you've never seen that kind of thing, then yeah, sure. When you begin with this, it looks odd. But I'm fairly confident that no matter what hill I insert when I put this in the browser, it'll actually get me the proper hill tag level from it. You watched me looking it up in the browser.
So you can reference the objects when you implement it.
When I put this in the browser, it will use the VGAP from the browser.
Jasmine, when it tests the code itself, it is not aware of the.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Smart question. Shouldn't this be?
That makes sense.
Shouldn't this be
Huh?
too equal? Looks questionable to me because Starbase with HAL 10 can do the same with HAL level 2 or 3. Shouldn't it be something like not too equal, but equal or higher or something like this?
That's a step that we're gonna get to next, I think.
Okay.
Now we got the tech level from the hull. Now we want to compare it with Starbase. Let's do that. So we have a Starbase. Should have.
I think.
No, it's not should have. It's does. Starbase have high enough tech. Something like that. So in this particular case, we're going to say expect what am I going to do? High enough tech. That's not, I think I like that better in terms of coding style. Has high enough tech. We're going to need a base and we're going to need a ship, right? And it's going to equal, well, I don't know what it's going to equal. It's just going to be one example. Our base will have, I don't know what a base looks like.
Would you not just want it to equal true?
I don't know. So let's see, Starbase has high enough tech. And then it's going to be true. And the next test that we're going to write after this is something where we don't have high enough tech levels and it's going to return false. Sounds like a plan. But I don't know what a base looks like yet. So we're going to have to find out what a base looks like. All right, get me a star. No. Get star base. Does we have one? We have none. I don't know.
The Starbase number is the planet number it's on, isn't it?
Is it? We got one here on number 24. Yeah. There you go. That's what it looks like. Hull tech level, beam tech level, torque tech level. So the thing we're interested in now is because we're only looking at hulls yet is the hull tech level 1 or 2 or whatever we have. So that's going to be hull tech level, and we're going to make it for this to be right. The Falcon was 2, right? Good. Well, I can run Jasmine first, but I already know that I don't have the method.
That's kind of
I'm going to be slightly blunt.
program.
Also a function. Takes a base, takes a ship. Now I want to see it fail. Ship is not defined. True. Copy the falcon. Undefined to equal true. I just split my screen so I can look at one test and the code independently.
I know we can.
True.
No.
Fast. Next test. Starbase does not have high enough tech level because we're going to give it 1 and it should return false. Fails because it still returns true. So what we need to do here is again get the tech level from the hell and say I need that code, and I need from the base I need the
Interesting way of programming.
what's it? Whole tech level. Is that at least equal to that tech level?
The code. And then changing the problem is the actual
Tech level is not defined.
which well, I mean it's essentially solid code now.
Fast. Now one other thing that I did here was copy and paste some code. I don't like that. It's duplication. There's a mistake in here.
I can't hear it.
If I make a mistake here, I now have the mistake twice, and I'm going to fix it only once. So it's similar code, so I'm going to extract another function here, and that says tech level for chip or something like that. What it's going to be? No, it's going to be the whole tech level more likely. Whole tech level for is a function that takes a ship, and that's the bit that takes that code really. And instead of putting it in there, we just return it. And now suddenly my tech level is 4. It's going to look like so tech. It's an odd direction for me to look at. Tech level 4 ship. And here I have the same thing. So this is going to be tech level for ship. And my code base at this moment looks like a helper method, a simple one that asks me what's the tech level that I have for this ship, and something that compares it to the other base.
So setting one to models as well.
And if I run this, my tests still pass. And that's why I want them. I now made a change to my code, and I ran my test to see if I didn't make any sort of stupid mistake. And I know that. And 20 years from now, if I do similar changes, I still have these tests to remind me that I did or did not make a mistake. And that is incredibly powerful. And I say 20 years, but as I'm getting somewhat older, if I look at my code that I wrote 2 weeks ago, there are many details that I don't know anymore. When I was 25, I knew everything, or so I thought. But now I'm 40 and a bit, and the brain is not as quick and not as sharp anymore. And I really need this. And I build more complex programs these days. And then there's more to remember, and computers just, this is like computer repeating tasks. That's what a computer is very good at.
What did you now test with this one? Because only for a Falcon or an MDHF?
No, all kinds of ships. It doesn't matter what ship you use. It'll pick up your hull that goes with that ship, and it'll check the tech level of that hull if that's high enough for a data.
Yeah, but you don't check that the base belongs to the location of the ship at this moment, or doesn't.
Correct. So we're not there yet.
That's just pseudo data to create like a pseudo code run that mirrors the behavior of what the browser will do later without implementing all the data from the browser. Because this part is not aware of any of the planets and new thing, but the browser will have the planets and new objects and data, and then you can refer to them, which you can't do in here now.
Okay,
No.
so you make sort of mini planets or mini planets.
Yeah, in as
Only
many
the
small
aspects
steps
that
as
you
I
will
can,
touch.
in as many small steps that I can think of to actually get there. But I would like to get to the browser in somewhat of short notice now, because otherwise we're running out of time and we don't actually have a plugin, and we also want to show that stuff. So these three functions that I wrote so far is actual implementation. That's code that will end up in the plugin. So far, it's been in the same file as the tests, which is okay for starters, but not okay if you have actual, if you actually load things in your browser as a plugin. You don't want those tests in the browser themselves with your plugin. There's no point. So next to the directory with the tests, we're going to make one with, I don't even know what the normal name is, that one. And it's called clonewarden.user.js. Temper Monkey, Grease Monkey want that .user.js thing. Don't ask me why. And we stuff in the code that we wrote so far. All right. Yes, please. So this is the beginning of the actual plugin, and the other thing is the tests. Small problem here. If I run Jasmine, it says I have no idea what you're talking about, can't find it. And we get some obnoxious things from Jasmine at this point. So allow me to fix that. No, it's actually going to be load scripts. Require. I now need to tell Jasmine where to find this thing. Kind of annoying, but we need it. But we can further ignore that file because it's not going to change anytime soon. Okay, we have a plugin. Let's be somewhat blunt here. I have a browser. And I can load my plugin. And it's going to say, this is a Grease Monkey user script. Click install to start using it. Yay!
Runs everywhere.
It installs successfully. I don't believe anything of that. I should have tested that. This is crap. There's stuff that we need to do. There's stuff that you need to look up about how such a file should really look like. I'm just going to copy and paste something into it from somewhere else. I'm going to show you the simplest plugin I have ever written. Maybe you use it, maybe you don't. It's called Hide Map Tip. When you open the star map, it has this thing that says, drag me around, please. So I'm sorry, that's annoying if you've seen it twice. So this removes it. I want this because the thing here at the top is what Grease Monkey, Temper Monkey wants. That needs it to be there to download new versions. It needs it to know the version. It needs to know which pages to apply the script to. As you can see, there is at include here. It should use this for planets.new, play, and test. If you don't tell it that, it doesn't know where to apply it. There's a download here, that's the author and the name and other things. So I'm just going to copy all of that. put it at the top here. I'm not going to put in the empty line here because I don't think it works. We're no longer that. We're that. And we're not of this year. And you know what? I'll look at some of the details properly here. You need that header. And really, if you load it now, it says that it's clone warden 1.0. And if you now say install, it actually does that. If I go to here and again at the top, look at Grease Monkey. There's a whole bunch of things here that it can do. And at the bottom here is our clone warden stuff. It does appear that it did take the first one as well, which is utter rubbish. Yeah, whoops. Okay, I learned something there. Forget it. We have loaded it once, and it needs that header. The second thing we need to do, and that's where I think someone asked the question earlier on, is how does all this actually ever get executed? We have more work to do. We need to actually find a ship that has a clone on it, and then find the base, and then check the whole check levels and all that. So there's more work that we actually need to do. Thinking of it, we should try to do some of that work before we get to the booking. But at least we could load it. What would we need to put in the browser? What do we need to make if we want to clone the ship? We have a ship. We put the friendly code on CLN, and then the base should say, or the ship should say.
You would like to have a clone report in your master inference sheet where it says.
Maybe directly after I use the friendly code box, I have a pop-up.
No, it's even better.
No,
Push a button that you want to clone, and then everything runs after a script. So even it will set up the friendly code CLI.
Because if
you have
it
place for a button,
it should check for any clones that are not viable. So I mean, you still need to put CNN on the ship yourself, but then if you have 50 ships over 50 bases, or maybe over no bases, and you would like to hear like ship ID 55 cannot be cloned because it's not over a starbase, it doesn't have enough minerals, or it doesn't have enough disease.
Yeah.
I would probably just add it to the ship list and just have it in the ship list, mark it up in
As
some
a
way.
red flag.
As a red flag if it's not cloned properly, you can set the clone.
I agree.
Because you need to cycle through the ships in your code anyway to find the ones with clone.
Yeah, but as a man said, he wants to know exactly. I have to calculate now that the Falcon needs 22 duranium and whatsoever. So I want to know the lack of minerals and
You could
megabytes.
put that in the tooltip. If you have it in the ship list, you hover over it, over the marker or whatever. In the remarks, it then says legs, duranium, legs, whatever. Should be this, is this, and then you get in the ship list. You click on it, which gets you to it anyway.
I would do both. Because there is no, you can only do the one thing or the other, you can do both.
Yeah.
So in the action, when you actually try to
Yeah,
clone
also
the chip,
trigger the one.
and then you can later move away resources.
Yeah, and then you should also be able to get.
I've not heard about
Yeah,
2
so
weeks
that-
worth of coding.
Yeah, I
So
think
there is
this
a whole,
not
whole
1 hour job.
clearly there's a whole bunch of workflows you can think of on how to clone, and that's if you are trying to clone something that you can't clone, then you get warnings about it. Or you only, when you say I want to clone something, you get a list of ships that you could clone, which may be useful for some players if you actually have 3 or 4 or 5 foreign ship types. Despite that, even when all these nice workflows are there, if I'm going to change the friendly code of a ship to CLN, that would still be a point where I get a warning or a yes success. So I'm kind of tempted to pick that as a simple thing, because you would want to retain that that bit of functionality. If you don't use an advanced workflow that you can dream up, but a simple one, and it still gives you that result. Which means I would add to the ship pane, if the ship is on CLN and above Starbase, whether it will be cloned, yes or no. Which means we're going to have to find out how to add things to the ship screen, which isn't any different from finding how the things are added to a base screen. But we're going to modify something that's already there. And I think I'm actually going to have to do a little bit of digging here, because I haven't done that too often. The hardest part today is going to be to open a ship pane, have a look at it, and query it while we're at it, because I don't see it. I can't. Yes, thank you. There you go. Something at the bottom here that I wanted to have. Took that away from me. Oh.
See it on your screen?
Ah, yes. Interesting. I do. No. Come on.
Yes, family.
Wow. I don't want that. Yeah, and I now have that last line on my screen instead of on your screen, but I want to show you what's going on there. That's it. How the hell did that happen? I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking with Beaver on the background, so that's all good.
It's only.
Yeah.
Who's he?
Big Beaver.
Yeah, where is he?
He's in, I think, either States or Canada.
Yeah, what time zone? What side?
The next one.
I mean, in his day, what time is it? His local time?
It's morning.
Maybe 9 o'clock or something. It's 7 hours.
Not even that. Because
7 hours
it's
would be
3
East
o'clock
Coast.
UK time. It could be
Yeah,
8
it's early
o'clock
morning.
now.
Yeah.
Could be 8
Well, East Coast is 7 hours for me. 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right, how much time do I have?
How much do you need?
I don't know. I don't know.
2 hours. 3 or 4 days.
I don't know exactly.
Okay, let's move forward and try to finish in something like 15-20 minutes. Is it doable?
Fast forward.
I think
Probably not. But
if I see what you need to do, I think it's still will take. If you want to keep us understanding what you do, I think it will take
much longer.
much longer.
I'll see how far. I'll take 20 minutes and then we'll just stop.
Okay, we'll see where we
And
are.
we'll finish at least something tomorrow
Okay.
for people who are interested. This ship screen is that, and it has a lot of arguments and parameters and all that. But it doesn't mean I can usefully manipulate it. I don't want to query my ship screen here with the code that I'm building. I want to add something to it. For that, you need to dig a bit deeper in the code that creates such a screen. So we're going to have a look at that. That code is in the existing Planet's new code. If you look here, let's reload it. There you go. And leave it. I don't care. If I load a page, then this network tab shows me all the things that get downloaded with it. That's images. There should be a style sheet somewhere that I spoke about. I can even filter on the types. So if I say, give me only the style sheets, and there you have it. Here are the style sheets that are used. If I want to see JavaScript only, fine, it will show me JavaScript. The big one that we're interested in is that nu.javascript. It's just a file on a web server. You can download it. Download it if you're gonna write plugins. And if you have downloaded it, you can have a look at it. And when you have a look at it, you're going to find out that it is a rather big file. Here, it gives me the amount of lines that are in there. That's a shitload of lines. So did Joshua and Big Beaver write all of that? No, they didn't. They included a couple of libraries to help with certain things. If you think about 3D VCR rendering, there's quite some helper libraries in there to do the 3D rendering for you. What we're interested in is our ship screen. So let's look for ship screen. No. This can take a while if we do it like that. Do we have that? Yeah, that we have. Okay, that was a bit of knowledge that you want to have. This is the ship screen as it's created in the new JavaScript code. It's got a whole bunch of functions that come with it. Get the mission, get other things. I'm looking for the thing that's not so much getting information out of things like the ship you put into it. There is a method in here that actually builds the pane, that renders that pane on the screen. I'm looking for that function. Probably, I think it's that one, load. And I can see that because at some point it's going to, oh, you see friendly code stuff here, that's good.
You also see all the actual strings.
Yeah, but I'm actually wanting to see more like that. It's a very big thing. I was looking for some HTML to construct it, but it's no, it does that for some things. Let's go back to the top. Of course, push. There is. Where is it? I don't know where it is. Let's just search for it. Saw it. In here, there is a screen. So they have some helper stuff to create the bulk of that screen already, so they can share that between that ship pane, base pane, planet pane, and even more. I'm not sure I like the abstraction, but it's there. So yeah, this is the method. This load function inside the ship screen class is where they construct that whole ship pane. So if we want to add something to that, we have to play a particular JavaScript trick, which isn't really nice, but we can play it and add something of ourselves to it. So this method was called load. Let's remember that. And it's inside here. I'm going to copy that. So this is what I'm going to do now is kind of ugly JavaScript stuff that you need to do these kind of things. If you're going to browse through code of other people that wrote plugins, you'll find similar things, and you'll be able to recognize the pattern. We're going to have to take that and use that load and give it our own function. Load took a ship So we need to pass it a ship. And we're going to say we're going to add something. And how do they add things to this screen? They say add fleet view. Do they do more with this screen? Add section, add section, add section. Puh. No, I don't want to add a completely different new section. Let's go back a little bit. A section is, I don't need that anymore. Let me show you what a section is. So in here, I have a couple of sections. And sections are, whether you knew it or not, that you can collapse them. And I thought you could do that. And here I can do it. And here now I can't.
I think you can do it for orders as well.
I thought you could do it for all of them. In any case, I don't think we want to add a section that says whether we're cloning or not. I think we want to add something really here that says yes or no. So that when we say we're going to make that clone, it's going to add something like right there that says okay or not. Or we're going to give it a color or something.
Or even if you just put an okay, I mean, even like after friendly code.
Yeah, after or before, exactly. So not a section. So which means we have to delve a little bit deeper here and not use that left content interface that we have. We need to use, I know what it is, the name doesn't pop up. One with the $. jQuery. No, it's the jQuery. You can ask it for a certain element and then add or remove all kinds of content with it. So let's say we just want to add something right before here on certain occasions. I can now ask, now I'm having a, yeah, this is not going to fit on my screen, that sucks. One of the other powerful tools that we have here is this inspector. If I click on that and I move my cursor over here, it'll show me what's actually rendered in the HTML. So if I look at, for instance, something like damage here, it's going to tell us that is a TD, which is a table data. If I look here, then we have a div of the kind of a separation button. Another one here. This is another div. It's also a separation button. Whatever separation button means, I don't know. It's something that New has designed for us. What we're interested in is here our friendly code. It's a span, if you know what it means. And the name of it, it's actually by name, is shipfc. The fun thing is, if something has a name, it's meant to be unique. So we can easily query for that in our code. How does that look? That means that in our code, if this stuff is loaded and we want to do something about it, we can ask, well, we know we have a ship FC, and this little bit of magic will give us the part of the HTML that's that. And if we want to, and that's another bit of power of jQuery, if we want to put something after it or before, and I hope I'm doing this right, I think we can literally say, I want to put something right in front of that. And I think we can even do it like that. So we need to replace this OK at some point with the result of the check of the ship. But I want to see OK pop up. Obviously, if I completely redefine my load function of the ship screen, there's nothing going to be there. And since I don't have a friendly code thing in there, that's not going to be OK either. So the weird thing is that I need to call the original ship screen load with the ship first, and then And then we can edit. Fine, which means I need my original thing, and that is that. Ain't that fun? It's slightly worse than that, because JavaScript is a lousy language. There is a thing called this, and if I don't put this original ship screen method in the same prototype, I can't actually call it and have the same this. So I need to do it this way, which makes for a bit of an ugly bit of wrapper code, but that's the pattern that you see quite a few times occurring as you occur. Am I? Am I? I think this looks fine.
I think so too.
What I'm going to do now, to make sure that we didn't make any mistake in this tiny piece of code, is to go to my... First, I want to kill that one that we don't have here. Go away. And then I'm going to reload that. Then I should never forget to reload my page. Oh, that actually doesn't do anything. If I'm inspecting, reload the page. Double checking that Grease Monkey has one clone warden active, yes. What I would like to see now, when I open a ship pane, that it says OK right in front of the friendly code. It does, actually.
Hey, but you killed somebody.
There.
Sorry.
There we go.
That's OK right in front of the clone. So I'm going to stop now. Because you've seen me add something in a place where it's going to be useful. You've seen how I, in very small steps, build up a check to see whether something is done. The fact that we want to check 4 tag levels and that it's not my ship type and all these things, I hope you can see that we would add that in the exact same way as we did the first few tests. And then you can, depending on what the result is, say OK or sorry in this particular spot.
I guess the most work at the beginning is learning or browsing all the objects.
Yes. Because all in all, there is a lot of different screens, there's a lot of data. So finding your way with that console and knowing that it's VGAP dot all stuff with data structures, knowing that it is a ship screen. The first time the only thing you can do is well, you might find out because you're looking for clone is that thing with hash ship FC, and then look for hash ship FC in the new .js code and find out that, oh boy, it's doing something in the VGA.prototype, ship screen.prototype. Oh, ship screen, yeah, that's probably a planet screen, and it turns out to be.
But I guess if you're new to Java in general, even recognizing where one function starts and the other one ends, and what is encapsulating what is going to take a while.
Of course.
And the original root code doesn't really make it that easy to find.
No, and you're going to find, I mean, we wrapped now the ship screen thing, you can wrap it like that, but sometimes wrapping it is not really an option, and you have to rewrite the entire thing, and then you get, if you want to do it properly, you have to duplicate a method of 100 lines. And, the new code is far from perfect.
Okay, the broadcast ends now. We can still continue the discussion for a while we start to set up the next broadcast, which will be Big Beaver. We'll be back online soon with the new link.
Thank you, by the way.
You're welcome. Thank you for... Yeah, I'm stopping now. Because